Hello, Pokemon trainers! Welcome back to another Pokemon Sword and Shield video on iStarly TV. Today we're talking about one of the biggest features announced in the Nintendo Direct on Wednesday, and that is the Dynamax, I called it Dynamaxed. The Dynamax method of battling, or phenomena, I believe they called it. So Dynamax is really weird, to be honest. As far as my opinions of it go, I am reserving judgment, although I am a little bit not entirely excited for this. I mean, I'm excited for these games, don't get me wrong. I honestly feel like Dynamax kind of, if only very slightly, brings down my excitement for the games, but everything else is just amazing. The new Pokemon look great, the wild area looks great, a lot of the other new features they've announced have looked amazing. I'm super excited for these games, and I'm gonna love them, I already know it, but Dynamax just does not look like something we need. Now, very quickly, I'm going to try to kind of go through the history of these new features that they've been trying to add. Pokemon has always been trying to add new kind of features to mix things up with battles since really the beginning, since some of the earlier generations. I'll try to go back as quickly as possible, but 2nd gen introduced held items, 3rd gen introduced abilities, and then just kind of skipping ahead a little bit, in 5th gen they did triple battles, which they very quickly kind of removed, and then 6th gen also added the mega evolutions, which we also didn't like at the beginning, and then 7th gen of course added Z moves. It looks like they're always trying to find ways to keep things fresh and interesting, which is very admirable. I do appreciate that they're looking out for us in that way. Now, Mega Evolutions was something that when they first announced it, I didn't like it. I don't know if you remember when we started talking about X and Y, Dieter and I weren't very high on Mega Evolutions, but it's something that ended up actually being kind of cool, and I actually do really like Mega Evolutions now, because I think they did a good job of handling it. Z Moves is a little bit of a different story. I'm still not that excited for Z Moves. I've accepted it though. Similarly, when Z Moves were introduced, I wasn't that excited about them, and since then, I think I've grown to at least appreciate them, but I'm not a fan. Now, Dynamaxing might continue that trend of me not being that excited and continuing to remain indifferent when the games come out, but who knows? I'm going to not give my judgment until I actually play the games, but at least my opinions for right now are that Dynamax does not look super thrilling. I don't think this is something that we needed. Now, to sum it all up, Dynamax in Pokemon Sword and Shield is a mode of battle that your Pokemon can enter where it'll grow gigantic, as you can see in the images I have here. It'll just be huge, and it'll increase in power, obviously, for 3 turns. It'll remain in its Dynamax form for 3 turns, after which it'll revert to its original form. When it's in Dynamax, it'll be a lot more powerful, and its moves will change to specific Dynamax moves. Now, about the Dynamax moves, it does look like there are certain ones for each type. So it looks like there will be the offensive Dynamax moves. So if your Pokemon knows like a normal type attack, when it goes Dynamax, it'll have the normal type Dynamax offensive move, which is called like Max Strike or something like that. I don't know if there are different normal type ones, but if your Pokemon has a move like Growl, which is also a normal type move, but that does not damage the opponent, it has another move. I think it's called like Max Guard or something like that. So kind of weird. It does have different moves. And once again, I think similar to Z moves, because with Z moves, it was like, okay, if I have a Pokemon with 2 dark type attacks and I use the Dark Z Crystal on it, then it'll have the same dark type Z move that you'll be able to use. It's just the power would vary depending on what the original move is. So I'm assuming that the Dynamax attacks are very similar to that. Now, again, I don't feel like this is something that's super necessary. Now, something that might help us, but maybe not, is that it does say that Dynamax is an integral part of Pokemon battles in Galar, which again, I'm not super excited about, but it does say that Dynamax battles are unique to specific locations, such as stadiums or gyms. So it doesn't seem like you'll always be able to or need to do Dynamax in every single Pokemon battle that you ever do. it does seem like you will probably need to have a Dynamax battle in the gym battles, which is, again, depending on what you think about Dynamax battles, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. But it sounds like you might not always have it sounds like you might not always have to do it, but also that you might not always have the option to do it. Like, if you're just battling a trainer in the wild area, for example, if that's possible, you might not be able to Dynamax if that's the case. So maybe, again, depending on how you feel about Dynamax in general, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But it does say that gym leader battles in Galar will often involve Dynamax battles. So I think it seems like each gym leader will have one Pokemon that will be their Dynamax Pokemon. Like, for example, in the trailer, they showed off this new grass-type gym leader named Milo. He had an Eldegoss, which is one of the new Pokemon they announced, and it said that his Eldegoss was his Dynamax Pokemon. So he might have like one or two other Pokemon in his roster, but the only one of his Pokemon that can Dynamax is Eldegoss, for example. Also, it does say that you can only Dynamax once per battle. So if you use your Dynamax on your weakest Pokemon and that Pokemon gets knocked out, that's it. You cannot Dynamax for the rest of that battle, and you probably missed your opportunity. Of course, I'm not sure how much more powerful these Pokemon are. Again, I imagine that the attacks are a lot more powerful than regular attacks, and I imagine that the Pokemon's stats are increased when they Dynamax. That makes sense if that were the case. I don't know how much by, though. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a fixed rate for every Pokemon. Like, maybe all Pokemon will have all their stats doubled when they Dynamax or something. I don't know. For example, if it's, like, unique to each Pokemon, that might be a little bit of extra work for them to come up with. Like, oh, Dugtrio's attack is boosted by 50 points when it Dynamaxes, and its speed is boosted by 20, and then Aggron's attack is boosted by 30 when it, like, because then they're just kind of like pseudo mega evolutions at that point that any Pokemon is capable of, right? It does seem like any Pokemon in your party is capable of going Dynamax, although I'm not sure if there are specific requirements that have to be met. They did announce a new item called the Dynamax Band, which is probably very similar to the Mega Ring in, previous Pokemon games, where you need this item in order to Mega Evolve your Pokemon. Of course, with Mega Evolutions, you needed the items of the Mega Stones, the specific Mega Stones for your Pokemon. Similar to with the Z Crystals, you needed the specific Z Crystal in order to use a specific Z move of that type. So I don't know if beyond the Dynamax Band, there's another smaller item that your Pokemon needs. Like, maybe there's like a Dynamax Nugget or something that only Pokemon who are holding that can Dynamax evolve or whatever, because the Dynamax Band just sounds like a key item that will allow Dynamax usage in general, right? So who knows? There's a lot to speculate about this because they did give us a good amount of information, but at the same time, once again, they did not give us everything, which is perfectly fine. A few more points about this. The max moves are determined by what kinds of moves your Pokemon know and what types of moves. So like I said, by what kinds of moves, I imagine that they mean like whether your move deals damage or not. So like, Leaf Blade and Leech Seed are both grass type moves, but Leaf Blade deals damage to the opponent while Leech Seed is a support move. I mean, I guess technically Leech Seed does also deal damage, so that's not the best example. But let's use another example, Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, right? Sleep Powder does not deal damage to the opponent. So the Dynamax move for Sleep Powder might be a different grass type move than the Dynamax move for Leaf Blade, if that makes any sense. This is hard to explain. I don't think I'm doing a great job of explaining it. But that's kind of Dynamax in a nutshell. It does seem like Dynamax battles will be important to the main game. While you might not need to do Dynamax for every single battle in the entire game, you will have to do them for the gym battles, and I imagine you will also have to do them for the Elite Four or the Pokemon League battles as well, which again, currently not super excited about it, but we'll kind of see how things go. Now, in addition to Dynamax battles, something that is very similar, it's basically Dynamax battles, but something that's actually cooler is that they've introduced raid battles into Pokemon Sword and Shield. These are called max raids, and these are things that appear out in the wild area. And when they showed in the trailer, they showed the main character running through the wild area, and they showed like kind of beacons of red light in the distance. I'm assuming those appear where you can do max raid battles. So that's kind of cool. It's very reminiscent, of course, of Pokemon Go, where you'll see, like, if you played Pokemon Go, you'll see a gym in the distance and it'll have like an egg over it, and that egg indicates that there's going to be a raid battle in a certain amount of time, and you don't know exactly which Pokemon is going to be in that raid battle until the time is reached. So that sounds like something that's kind of cool in these games, where maybe in the distance you'll notice that there's going to be a max raid battle going on, but you don't know what Pokemon it's going to be, so you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Maybe you'll encounter Pangoro, maybe you'll encounter Lantern, maybe you'll encounter a gigantic Bidoof like the thumbnail of this video suggests. Who knows? But those will be Dynamax Pokemon, and these are raid battles, so similar to raid battles in Pokemon Go, you and up to 3 other players can do these battles. Now, it does sound like you need 3 other players in your party. Like, you can only ever do max raids with 4 trainers. However, it did also say that, of course, you can connect locally. So if you're playing with your friend who's right next to you with their Nintendo Switch, they can also join in. If you have 3 other friends with a Nintendo Switch and Pokemon Sword or Shield, you can all participate together, which is awesome. If not, you can also participate online. However, you do need a Nintendo Online subscription. Finally, they did say that if you do not have 3 other trainers to battle with, they will assign you support trainers. So I'm assuming those will be like random NPC trainers, just like random trainers with random Pokemon on their teams. So that's actually kind of cool. So it means that if you do see a max raid battle and you don't have any friends, like personally, I only have one friend in real life who plays Pokemon as religiously as I do, and who has a Nintendo Switch. So if he and I, well, and also Dieter, of course, but Dieter needs to get a Switch. He needs to get on it. So if me and Dieter were going to do a max raid battle and we didn't have 2 other people to play with, then we could still get 2 random people that are NPCs that could help us. So that's really cool. I think that's actually a great feature. And I really can't wait to do some max raid battles with Dieter, and maybe I could do some max raid battles with some subscribers. That would be a lot of fun. So max raid battles seem great, even though I'm not so high on Dynamax in general. I know that sounds kind of weird because I like the max raid battles, but I don't love the Dynamax. But I think that the max raid battles add a unique function of the game. They did also say that the Pokemon that appear in max raid battles will change depending on similar to, which Pokemon appear in the wild. They will change depending on the weather and the location and stuff like that. So for example, you'll battle Steenie if it's really sunny outside, but if it's like raining a lot, then maybe you'll battle like Lantern or water Pokemon in general, right? So that's kind of cool too. And I think they did also say in the Nintendo Direct that that the Pokemon that appear in max raid battles, some of them are only obtainable in those max raid battles in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So for example, like maybe you'll encounter Ursaring in a max raid battle, but maybe Ursaring is not obtainable in Pokemon Sword and Shield by itself. Of course we do have, Pokemon Homecoming. We have Pokemon Home that is coming to mobile devices in early 2020, which will allow us to collect all our Pokemon from Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Go and Pokemon Let's Go. So like if I miss out on a max raid for a Pokemon that I don't have and that I can't get, well, I can probably get that Pokemon in some other way. So I hope that they have benefits for obtaining these Pokemon in max raid battles. Like maybe they have really high stats or really high IVs, or maybe they know very unique moves that they wouldn't be able to learn otherwise. So I really hope there's like more of an incentive to capture these max raid battle Pokemon. I really imagine that there will be, though. Like, they've got to give us a reason to catch these Pokemon. Otherwise, I'm not going to go out of my way to battle a gigantic Quagsire, because I don't really care about that Pokemon, to be honest. And then a couple points about Dynamax battles, max raid battles. First of all, the max raid Pokemon that you are battling will remain in its Dynamax form for the entire battle. So normally Dynamax only lasts 3 turns, but in these max raid battles, the Pokemon is in its Dynamax form for the entirety of the battle. So that makes it a lot more challenging. You really have to coordinate here. Also, you have a party of 4, but only one person can Dynamax their Pokemon. So you don't all get to Dynamax your Pokemon because that would be obviously unfair for the max raid Pokemon, 4 against 1. So only one person will get to Dynamax their Pokemon. The other trainers have to use their regular form Pokemon. So obviously you're going to have to coordinate. If I have a Pokemon that's super effective against the max raid Pokemon we're battling, I'm going to want to be the one to Dynamax, right? But you have to kind of agree with each other, which is pretty funny. I can see that getting a little intense, maybe if 2 people disagree or something like that. But that's awesome, right? This adds like something of a Monster Hunter type of vibe to the games where you team up with people online to take down a gigantic monster. Of course, the way that you're taking it down is very different because you don't have giant guns or swords in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which you probably should. But anyways, Monster Hunter, you have guns and swords and shields and all that. But anyways, this seems awesome, right? Max raid battles seem awesome. Dynamax, again, if it's something that we're more forced into, I might not like it quite as much, but it depends on how they handle it, right? So I'm reserving judgment, like I said. Dieter and I hated on Mega Evolutions at first, and we ended up loving them. I actually think Mega Evolutions are awesome, and a lot of trainers, including myself, would love for more Mega Evolutions to come into the games. It does seem like because of them doing the Dynamax thing, we won't be getting more Mega Evolutions. I'm not even sure we'll be getting them at all. I do think we will get the Mega Evolution, so like the old Mega Evolutions will probably still gain access to them, but it might be like in Sun and Moon where you don't get access to the Mega Ring and the Mega Stones until after you beat the game, probably. So because it's like a side thing. They're not focused on Mega Evolutions anymore. I don't think they're focused on Z moves anymore. So those are things that we'll probably get like way later on in the game, and they want us to focus mostly on Dynamax battles from the get-go. So let me know your thoughts on Dynamax battles and Max Raid battles, because they're kind of similar but also kind of different. Do you love Dynamax? Do you hate it? Do you wish they would have gone a different route? I know most trainers are probably vying for more Mega Evolutions. So let me know which Mega Evolution you're hoping for in the future. Maybe they'll come back to Mega Evolutions at some point. I would really love a Mega Flygon or Mega Farfetch'd, because Farfetch'd is a cool Pokemon that's really weak. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see how things play out. Let me know your thoughts on Dynamax battles. I'm really interested in seeing. And yeah, with that being said, I'll kind of turn it off from here. I hope you have a great day. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Pokemon Sun. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep doing that. For more Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield videos. Right here on iStarly TV.